TGI Friday. Welcome to the Journey of Mela Lifestyle. If you're just joining and you're new to our community, my name is Camila Tibbetts. I am the founder of Mela Lifestyle, which is a lifestyle community and website where as a tastemaker, I've curated products around the categories of beauty, wellness, home, and style. And these are our meditations that originally started with me sharing the behind the veil of what it's like as a founder and what it's like launching a website. But the feedback that we've gotten and why we've gained traction with these meditations is that it really is a way for us to just encourage each other. So every day I give 2 meditations for you to just sit with, to take with you throughout your day. And we sometimes we do a series, sometimes we'll just do 2 big meditations. And so it's Friday. And so on Fridays, I always like to just send you off with something to think about for the weekend, right? Like cheers to the weekend. So, and I also always start with the moments and madness of being a founder and where I'm at. So just to check in, a couple of things. Yes, I did complete the filming of In the Kitchen. So the shrimp and burrata pasta and the arugula and Humboldt Frog salad, that is going to be on Mela Lifestyle and be released with our In the Kitchen series tomorrow. So definitely look forward to that. I want to give you guys just like a good meal, like a meal that's not around holidays or festivities, but just something that you can just make that's like good and feels good, and you could just sit at the table and enjoy. So look for that in our In the Kitchen series. Also, I had an amazing meeting with my team, and it's so interesting. We don't see ourselves the way people see us. So it's so interesting, like to sit and hear my team and to talk about our plans for 2020 and where we're going and how we want to create a safe space and an opportunity and a platform for new founders, for voices, for homemakers, for creatives, for people that just want to live out in the world the same way they're living in their home, right? That there's that seamless transition between home and the world, and the fact that I get to facilitate and just I always tell my kids we're blessed to be a blessing, and they would always roll their eyes, but it's like, what are you doing? You're blessed in some way. You've been blessed in some ways. You've had giftings in some ways. You've had magical luck, or whatever you want to call it, and what are you providing for that next person? What is your legacy going to be? I think about that a lot. So that's where we're at. That's where I'm at. That's how my week has ended in a really powerful way. I always talk about how whatever I share or whatever we're meditating on, it always seems to come back to me in my life. And yesterday I talked about healing through tears, right? And I had a little bit of tears today around some things that came up, but that's always, usually I'm like, oh my God, I had an emotional breakdown. But it's like, what? It's not an emotional breakdown if I'm showing emotion. Maybe it's a breakthrough, like maybe it's a tender area that I need to heal so that I can position myself to give everything to you or to our community or even to myself. So that's where we're at. That's where I'm at with the moments in the moments in madness. So where are we today? I just want to send you, we're going to do 2 quick meditation. It's Friday. There's so much going on. So our first meditation is adapt and surrender. And what do I mean by that? I think about moving to New York and some things that came up for me during the week and what adaptation looks like, right? Like when you're in a foreign place, or I know for me when I've traveled internationally, it's like I need to surrender to the culture, to the environment that's around me, like still being my whole self, in this environment, but also adapting and surrendering. And so I want us to really think about that going into the weekend and going into the new year. Like, where are the areas where we've adapted? Like, pat yourself on the back in those areas where you've really chosen to adapt to what's going on in culture, what's going on in your home, like things that could have been or should have been that just didn't happen because of certain things that were out of our control. And in that adaptation, like, where is that place of surrender? Because when we get to a place of surrender, then we're really not fighting what's true, right? Like when I get in my head and I'm thinking about oh, what if, like I have to separate, the lie from the truth. And so like we can't fight and live in constant tension of fighting what's true. Like the facts are sometimes the facts, but it's how we respond to that. And that is, what my team was talking about earlier, is that is the hero's journey, right? Like we all have our hero's journey. We all have those things that have, set us apart and are part of the story that you're writing for yourself. So let's kind of think about that, like going into the weekend, and really thinking about how this year we are going to say goodbye to a few things. You guys, I'm gonna hold one moment. Yeah, I did that. You want to know why I did that? Because we're family and it's real. Like this is real time. If you're listening on the podcast, I just got up to grab a napkin. So that happened in real time. And what going into the new year are we going to say goodbye to and say hello to? And what do I mean by that? Like think about your own hero's journey. Think about the chapters and the stories and the segments of your life. Like so for me, it's like, am I saying goodbye to what was, looking forward to what is to come? Am I saying goodbye? We talked about endurance, right? Am I saying bye to fatigue and saying hello to endurance? Am I saying goodbye to fear and saying hello to promise, right? Am I saying goodbye to betrayal and saying hello to intimacy? And so that's the saying goodbye but saying hello to. And so as you go into the weekend, if you have some like sacred moments with yourself, like think about like, what am I saying goodbye to in this year? Not where you're like, bye 2020. I know a lot of you have a lot of passionate, passion is always loaded when people say, I know a lot of people have passionate feelings about 2020. But as you say goodbye to 2020, what are you saying hello to in that, right? Like in your hero's journey, what is going to be your journey and that road? We talked about trenches, right? Like if you feel like you're in the trenches right now in that safe place, what is going to be your journey into 2021, into next year? And how can we either meditate on it in our thoughts, or can we write those down like in our journals of like what we're saying hello to in 2021? So that's our first meditation today, is adapt and surrender. That I can adapt to the environment that I'm in, that I can adapt and be in alignment with what's going on around me, and then I can come from a place of surrender, knowing that I'm fully known and I'm fully present in whatever is to come. Our second meditation today, I want to leave you with breathless moments. And that's my encouragement for you for the weekend. A lot of times we talk about going into the new year, but I want to make it simple and plain for you as on Friday over these next 48 hours that we have. Like what are going to be those breathless moments for you? Like what are those moments where you're going to draw in, kind of look at the tender moments of your heart, kind of put yourself on full display of whatever that is. And because in those breathless moments, right, like in those moments, like when we see in part, right, when we have a promise and we see in part, that those breathless moments where you're exactly where you're supposed to be, exactly at this moment, exactly with yourself or with the person that has been called into your life at that time. And that right there is a breathless moment, right? That the magic and the awe of what can occur even in the mini. Like we think our breathless moments are these like big engagements, big weddings, big New Year's, like all the big things. But I want to encourage you that like we can have breathless moments in the sacred, like in the intimate. And like, Camila, why do you talk about intimacy so much? And I think I talk about intimacy so much because that was really hard for me. Like I didn't learn how to have like intimacy in my friendships and my relationships and conversations. I mentioned that I was a bit of a runner, and it wasn't until like I became completely comfortable with myself and my own process and accepting myself that intimacy didn't seem so scary. That into me you see, right? Like that intimacy didn't feel like it was this affront on who I am, right? Because a lot of times, especially in the past in my life, I was able to, I was like a chameleon, play on words, right? Camila, chameleon. But I think there was a time, and we've all done this, where we're like, okay, who do I need to be at this moment in relation to this person? And when we get to a place where we're fully known and we're fully safe and complete in who we are, then the intimacy happens because I can show up completely me, completely known, completely whole, and that is a breathless moment. Like being completely present for someone, you know, in that place of adaptation and surrender, where you can truly be seen, right? Where not only can you be seen, but your voice can be heard. And all those, like if you think about your senses, right? Like think about the idea that someone truly like sees you. You know, what would that look like if the people in your life truly saw you? What would that look like in your life if the people who are around you like truly heard you, and not only heard just the things that you're saying, but heard like the steps that you're making, heard like what's in your heart, like if you were really able to pull that up in such an intimate way. So again, our first meditation is adapt and surrender, that we really want to say goodbye. What are the things you want to say goodbye to? And what are the things that you're saying hello to? So adapt and surrender, that's a very trusting place, whether you're doing it with yourself or with another person. And our second meditation is breathless moments, that we can have these breathless moments, like sacred breathless moments, that those moments that take those moments that take our breath away. Okay. So there's a song that music, like, you know, we always talk about like what ministers to you, how do you meditate on certain things. And there's a song that goes, when I only see in part, I prophesy your promise. And what is the songwriter saying in that moment? The songwriter is saying, like, I may not know everything that's happening. I may not know everything that's going on around me, but if I can only see in part, like if I can only have a glimpse, right? And so if you think about that with yourself or with another person, right? If I can only have a glimpse of who you really are, if I can only have a glimpse of like what are truly the desires of your heart, if I can only have a glimpse of what this really looks like, then the promise becomes so much greater, right? And think about the idea, you know, that you can be so big. You know, we are, you know how if you're that person that was always like, you're too much, you're too emotional, you're too this, you're too that, like what if you're not too much? Like what if you can be so big? Like what if you can enter a room and you can just shift an atmosphere in such a powerful way because you've walked into the fullness of who you are, that you've surrendered to like that anxiety and that fear, you know, you've surrendered and let that go, and then that becomes a launching pad for like who you truly are inside. And so this is why I'm here, you know, this is why we do our meditations. It's for me to remind you and encourage you that as big as you want to be, that you can be that you're not too much, that you can take up space, that you can create safe environments, and that you completely surrender of all that is to come for you. So ciao for now. Thank you for joining me on the Journey of Mela Lifestyle. Have a beautiful weekend, and remember, our two meditations are adapt and surrender and breathless moments. And look for the In the Kitchen with Camila series this weekend, when I share my favorite recipe of jumbo shrimp burrata and a really simple arugula salad. So I always enjoy ending the weekend with you. Have a breathless moment this weekend. Take care. Bye.